From the makers of Mario Strikers comes the comeback 15 years in the making. My only experience with the Punch-Out franchise is playing the original on the Virtual Console and playing Super Punch-Out in hotels as a child. I remember getting very angry after hitting Bear Hugger in the stomach only to hear him go. However, it's a very nostalgic series for some. It's strange, what with this connection to Mike Tyson and a Statue of Liberty in the background, this is probably the one Nintendo franchise that is most grounded in reality. While it's great to see a franchise return from the dead, this Wii incarnation of Punch-Out feels more like a very enhanced remake, as opposed to something like Super Punch-Out, which did feel like a true sequel. While the story may not be important to a game like this, it remains largely unchanged. You play as scrappy young little Mac as he attempts to earn the WVBA championship, assisted by his grizzled old magical Negro coach, Doc Lewis. In fact, it's a story you may have seen in numerous other boxing-related media. Once you actually get into the ring, you'll discover that your opponents are nothing more than humorous, non-threatening racial stereotypes.
अपनी ताकत से तुझे आज मिटा दूंगा। शिष्य होंदो तो मोस। Les mains me font mal. Les gants de boxe sont trop serrés.
The majority of the classic characters are pulled from the original Punch-Out since that was a more popular game. However, to my surprise, they did go ahead and add some characters from Super Punch-Out, including Bear Hugger.
Oh, that's good. Yes.
There's also a new character in the form of Disco Kid, but don't worry, he's also a stereotype. Girly black guy. Offensive imagery aside, however, this is still a good-looking Wii game. The classic pugilist reimagined through cel shading almost remind me of Street Fighter IV. The camera movements and huge amounts of character animation almost hide the fact that you're still playing an NES game. Almost. I like to call Punch-Out a dynamic rhythm puzzle boxing game, or DRPBG, not to be confused with a dark role-playing board game. The key to victory is quickly picking up on patterns and reacting in time. The Wii version is more akin to the NES version rather than the Super NES version, so you and your opponent don't have many options or range of movement, making the patterns more obvious but the recognition more necessary. You also have a stamina meter measured in hearts and a limited number of super punches, forcing you to play even more intelligently. Along with Mad World, this is another Wii game that doesn't ask you to make a whole lot of complicated actions or to make something awesome happen on screen. Punch-Out is a challenging game, but the visual payoff is immense. It's like a much more engaging QuickTime event. Besides, do you really want Punch-Out to become a real boxing game? You can choose to play the game old school with the Wiimote on its side. You can pick up a nunchuck for some nice motion controls and some nice analog moving. Or you can play the game with the Wii Balance Board, which I do not have. Justifying the $50 purchase is a slew of features and options. There are no online leaderboards, but there is multiplayer that is a bit smarter than Wii Sports Boxing. It's a shame you can only play as Little Mac though. At least give me Doc Lewis. Exhibition mode gives you specific criteria in order to beat boxers like punch or time limits. And finally there's Title Defense, which is the equivalent of finding the second quest at the end of the original Legend of Zelda. Fighting old boxers with new harder patterns adds significant replay value to the game. Instead of being a sequel to Punch-Out, this is the definitive version of Punch-Out as we know it, with a little bit of Super Punch-Out thrown in for good measure. Little things like how you can save mid-circuit to how you can now train against every boxer in this weird hologram mode make the game feel more modern. True to their name, Next Level Games took Punch-Out to the next level. With this old franchise out of the way, I'll ask again. Where's my man Icarus? This has been Piffman 2 for Hear Me.